I'll go back on the script now. I've gone too many times off the script, but it might be tough to kind of narrow it down to a couple words. But how can you describe the experience in the locker room for the post game celebration?
Just like, man, looking at the faces of as every player, as every staff member, whether it was Tim Bezbachenko, the guy, the architect of the club, whether it was his chief scout Neil McGuinness, or whether it was one of the PR people, one of the support staff, like every club tries to preach family, all that stuff. Like just watching how happy everybody was and like everybody coming together, like on the field, Wilfred Nancy, the first thing he did, big hug with all of his staff, all of his coaches. All the players are finding each other. The support staff is on the field as well. And then all of that carries into the locker room. And, they brought over one of their PR people and was like, get in here and like pour champagne on her because it was like, hey, you're part of the team. Like, where are you going? Like, come over here and like, you're part of this group, right? Like, so just watching the culmination of like a locker room coming together and hey, man, like we showed up January 7th or 8th or whenever the hell preseason started, pretty borderline a full year. And here we are on December 7th. Like we've been at this for 11 months every single day, hoping that we got a moment like this. And this was all of our hard work, and not just of this year, but for a lot of players, it was their first title of their career. And just watching all of that culmination and like, oh my God, like we did it. There's no training tomorrow. There's no what are we building towards? We're gonna build towards next year very soon. But right now, oh my God, we did it. And you did it with the people that you love, the people that you've been going to battle with every day, the people that you've seen at training. A quick anecdote about Darlington Nagby is he hugs every single person in the building every morning. Not just his teammates. That's how he says hello. Like the PR people, the fitness staff, the trainers at table. He says hello by hugging. And it's just like, how can you not love this dude, right? Like he's Columbus through and through, and he's everybody would die for that man, like that plays with him, who knows him because he does things like that, right? Like so again, just imagine being with that dude every single day all year, and then you're holding the trophy with him. It's just unreal.
That's got to be the most Darlington Nagby thing I think I've ever heard.
The
That
second most Darlington Nagby thing that I've ever heard is that it's like you didn't even try to bother trying to talk to him too much during the week because it's like he won't talk about himself. Like we want to make the story about you and like I tried a few times to get him. There's no way that he hasn't heard a question and he just wants to defer to his teammates all the time. So a lot of stories of let's talk to teammates about him because he's too humble. He doesn't want to talk about himself.
as a player and now a coach in a competitive atmosphere, that is the teammate and the person that you want to build a team around, to lead a team, to show what they're massive crew two contingency in that group. That's the guy you want leading. They're setting themselves up just with that one player, Darlington Nagby, being that guy. They got to be setting themselves up for an immensely bright future.
Yeah, and I would extend that to Wilfred Nancy. Like you said, Patrick Schulte, Mo Farsi, Sean Zawatsky. You just kind of go down the list. Like Malty Robinson was a good left back for LAFC. He was amazing for this team. Steven Moreira was a good right back. Okay, fine. When he got to the crew, like I don't want to sound disrespectful. Like he was good, right? I voted him best XI this year. Like that wasn't on my bingo card at the beginning of the season. Like you just kind of go down the list. Like hell, even Darlington Nagby. He's awesome all the time, everywhere. But like this was like the perfect kind of system for him. The way that they weaponized like his passing range and his ability to keep and recycle the ball as well, rather than just trying to make him do things that aren't like in his nature. Of like every team was like, why aren't you scoring more goals or why aren't you doing this, right? Like so the idea of no matter who they bring in, and every single player, like I was saying, has had their career best season under him, going back to Montreal with like Georgi Mihailovic and Romel Kyoto, and you go down the list. It's like so yeah, anybody you give this guy, if he fits the system, it's going to play very well. And secondarily, Julian Gressel is the only key player they're losing. That's it. That's it. Like this whole team is coming back, and they have an open DP spot, and they have Wilfred Nancy, who's a cheat code in a salary cap league, where you can just give them young players and look, sink or swim. If you sink with Wilfred Nancy, I don't know what to tell you, man.
That's totally fair. And we were just talking about how Julian Gressel is probably going to be the most coveted free agent in MLS history, probably.
I have him in my top 6 on the big board.
Oh yeah, he's got to be. I mean, I mentioned it in the Eastern Conference Finals, but he didn't get off the bench. I'm like, Red Bull need to be on the phone now.
Every team should.
Yeah. But from my personal perspective, Red Bull got to go get him now because that guy.
Yeah, so Gressel did play. Like he didn't start any of these playoff games,
right?
But like the coaching staff always talked about like it's we really really value him, and if he wasn't there, like they wouldn't have gotten through the conference final because of him and Christian Ramirez. those were two of the most like overqualified bench, air quote bench, like non-starters in a couple of these games, right? Like, so I don't know. Like, they would love to keep him. If there was no salary cap, I think that they'd be really trying to keep him. But it was understood that, hey, obviously he's going to want to start no matter what. And like, B, if we're not starting you necessarily in the playoffs, like no matter how much we value, like he's going to get a lot of good offers in the offseason, like in free agency. So it's like, it wouldn't make sense for the crew to kind of allocate all of that kind of salary cap. So like, I want to be careful to say that no hard feelings on either side. They were both very happy. Both won a trophy. Both helped each other immensely. And now just like Gressel's going to get paid somewhere else.
Yeah, it's business, right? It's that's the way it runs.